Update. Big midweek update. They don't really think I'm coming to you from downtown Jeff City. I'm coming to you of people liberated. I think we should just let something breathe. Just stay with me for a second. Let's just all take in what's happened here. There we go. Thank my lucky stars to be in Jefferson City today, where Ron Fitzwater liberated High Street, and we can take the meter maids away. Because Ron Fitzwater ended the meter maid scam like only a man can. He liberated High Street from Jefferson all the way to Madison. And I think we should all stand up in support of Ron and buy boxes for all the people he's got to fire now. Not easy. There ain't no doubt. I love this land. God bless Ron Fitzwater. It's amazing. People say, oh, don't vote. It's a waste of time, a waste of time. And, there's something to be said for that. However, you voted basically. I mean, here's the real conundrum about the whole thing. Jefferson City is a great place and a very well ran city. And it's like they saved up all their dipshittery for the worst parking division in the history of mankind. Can you imagine the captain of the Titanic, Britt Smith, walks up and says, hold my beer. I can do my job shittier than you, I guarantee you. Don Dinkinger, Britt Smith comes up and says, Don Dinkinger, hold my beer. I can be shittier than you. You would think it's not possible, but whoa, it is. I about got hit by the Kentucky waterfall today with their little cart. Oh my God, Kelton. I was like, you ever seen Office Space? I was like, settlement time, baby. I mean, honestly, if I got $1 million settlement for getting hit by a meter maid buggy, I would get a third of the money back I paid in parking tickets. It'd be amazing. No, it's a new day. It just got a freer sense in the air. You can really feel like the Ukraine people. This is what they're longing for. This sort of liberation and freedom. Really, Ron Fitzwater is our Zelensky, except his, foe probably more dirty and underhanded, frankly, than Putin. It is amazing what you take it for granted, Kelton. You really do. Freedom and liberty until you come to High Street for the last couple years. And now that you have it back, I think we're all going to appreciate it more. I really do. Don't you? I mean, I just think it's an interesting. We all just act like, oh, freedom and liberty until they take it away and you live in an oppressed land. You don't really appreciate it. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to appreciate it from now on. I am. A big Stein of Knowledge hat tip to Ron Fitzwater. He won a grueling election. I really think the entire city, every single person in Jeff City came together and said, you know what? This is a mess. I mean, this is just incompetence run amok. I think we should all just, Ron Fitzwater is the right person. And can you imagine an election, Kelton, where every single person in the town said, you're the only man for the job? Now, it's going to be tough. My God, it's going to be tough. You just had to root and branch. You need to pray for him. I'm asking my mama to pray for him. I think hers get answered. I mean, it's a tough old deal, but he's the right man for the job at the right time. I think he's going to do a hell of a good job. And look, I'll be honest with you. Now, I'm serious. I understand the situation here. But if he does not, I'll be honest with you. If Britt Smith's still there, your old hillbilly pal, he'll call a spade a spade. If Ron Fitzwater's not up to the task, I mean, they don't care at all. You remember when we had 2 city councilmen elected, right? Remember that, Kelton, Spencer, and Spicer? The city bureaucrats had flipped them off, didn't get spit right in their face. Now the important thing is not only Ron won, but you had Schwartz win. With Schwartz, oh my God, if you know Schwartz, can you imagine the first bureaucrat that comes in there that he's because Schwartz is like sarcastically funny, got balls, and he knows government, right? He's been around it for a long time. You're not going to be able to bullshit him. So, they'd be a night. You'd be if you were, let's say, a D level city employee, this is a bad situation for you with Schwartz coming in. You should keep your head down, right? Spencer and Spicer were obviously reelected, 2 of the best city councilmen in this state, bar none. Honestly, they should farm Spencer and Spicer out to other towns just to troubleshoot their problems. They're top of the line A-listers. Speaking of A-listers, we'll have an A-list lister. Jeff won. He beat an incumbent. And look, I like the incumbent. He's a nice guy, but I mean, how do you defend the record, right? Every single person knew how incompetent it was. You have one hillbilly friend who pointed it out. They did nothing. They made it worse. It was just it was amazing because there's so much. There's a lot of administrative talent in that city because so many other things go so well, right? So how do you just decide we're just going to be world class shits at this one thing? But they did. Now I have to say, don't think we're out of this because I think Ron's going to have to fire a couple people, or they'll just blow him off too. I mean, the bureaucracy doesn't care. They have not had anybody. Here's the thing about bureaucrats. I think working for the government's a fine profession, and I think you can do a lot of great things, and a lot of great smart people work for the government. However, here's the difference: the bureaucracy has to be a little scared at how they treat that pain in the ass constituent. Because if you just don't care and you just want to rub shit in their face all the time, it leads to a poorly ran city government, poorly functioning situation. That bureaucrat has got to be a little afraid that if they treat you too bad, their life could get worse. And in the city of Jefferson, the last few years, nobody cared. Nobody's going to say anything to them. They could just treat you like pieces of shit stuck in the bottom of your boot. Didn't matter. And so now, if I had to guess, if Ron goes in there and takes care of a couple problems, they're going to get the best out of folks because they're going to do their job. But there's going to be one little fraction of a thought that if I treat you like too much piece of shit, then something bad might happen to me, right? And that's where you want to be. I mean, I don't know. Kelton, what do you think?
I agree.
I mean, I'm happy to be coming from a liberated block of High Street. It's a great situation. Um, let's talk a little bit about going down the streets of the Capitol. I mean, Bill Eigel has a way like he's like Trump almost. No matter what Bill Eigel does, it's going to get attention. It's just no matter how Bill Eigel he gets out of bed in the morning, he's a lightning rod. Bill Eigel has made two people happy and two people pissed off just by waking up. Um, and so Eigel he's had a week, and it's only Wednesday. He starts off. They put out a commercial, and here's the interesting thing. I've always wondered how long this was going to go, because you have MATA, the Trial Attorney Association, has done the best job of lobbying. I mean, for so long in the Capitol, they really had a hard time. I mean, people were gunning for them, no doubt. And now they put together a terrific campaign where they went out and basically just became a very Republican leaning, having a Republican leaning operation. And they've kind of went to your more right wing Republicans who frankly have a hard time raising money, and they've really been generous. Now Bill Eichel's always been a good fundraiser, but he's tight in that crew. It kind of started with Jim Onder and his lawsuit. I think the Johnson & Johnson lawsuit. They got that exempted from a tort reform bill, and really the relationships have just kind of went forth, and they're very, very, very generous givers to Republicans. Well, not the way I was brought up. The Democrats were trial attorneys, the Republicans were the tort reform people, right? And I've always thought they take that tort reform stuff too far, but probably like everything in life, you could probably tweak it a little bit, right? See how it goes. But MATA has done the best job. I mean, if they gave out like an MVP of lobbying, Sarah Schutt would have won the last couple 3 years because the strategies they've implemented have really now going at MATA was an annual event for the Republicans. Now I don't think you could pass a tort reform bill. I really don't. So the other side, the pro tort reform people, business community type folks, put together an ad against Bill Eigel, basically saying Bill Eigel and a handful of other folks take trial attorney money, and that's bad, and you shouldn't do that, and you're making business hard to do, and what have you. Now, I don't think you could pass an anti-tort reform bill right now, but I don't think you could pass a pro-tort reform bill. So it is interesting. It's a very good job they've done of lobbying, and I hats off to them. And so, but the pushback now is coming. They threw Ben Brown in there, of course, Moon and Brat, and they took a lot of trial attorney money. Mike Moon, though, this is the thing about old Mike Moon. Like, he takes the trial attorney money, right? And he just owns it, man. There's no problem at all. He just leans into it. So, people want him to be ashamed of stuff, but he's not ashamed. He just leans into it. So, interesting. Then Eigel, again, Bill Eigel just gets attention, man, whatever he does, whenever he does it. He got in a bit of a scrape over the foreign owned land bill. Now, here's the rub on that. You could screw up a lot of stuff quick in that foreign owned land bill. That foreign owned land bill is an absolute landmine. And so Bill wanted to be involved in it. And I will say this, I do think it's Senator Bratton's bill. Senator Bratton got attacked in his congressional primary about voting for the Smithfield thing. They're saying, the Chinese land thing. So he now wants to come in and pass a bill that says you can't do that, right? The truth of the matter is, in my opinion, this is mostly for people's Facebook page. And I think there's a crew in the Senate that's willing to let you pass some bill that you could put on Facebook and say, look at me, but not actually affect like people's jobs. I mean, if you're Bear and you want to expand in Missouri or Arkansas, and they're saying you can't buy land in Missouri, it's just and that they've made it to a few countries and what have you. I I get it. I understand the situation. Uh, but it's one of those things like if China owned farmland, we went to war with China. You know what we probably do? Kelton, hypothetically, if you were in charge of this shit and China went to war with you, what would it's land? You can't really move it. What would you do?
Probably just take it.
Probably take it back. Yeah. Probably send them a letter that says, "These 1,000 acres you owned, you don't own anymore." And if it's the government, they'll also send them a tax bill for up to date, for those days of the year they had it. So I don't, whatever. I get the point. People are against it, fine. It apparently was effective in that primary. But if you actually try to affect too much here, you could really cost regular people their jobs, like legitimately cost them their jobs, which I don't think anybody wants to do. But sometimes the unintended consequences of this stuff is serious. Um, Putting forward, then he got into it with Senator Arthur, and you probably shouldn't have asked her how much she spends on childcare. That was, I bet you, I know Bill Eigel. Bill Eigel's a good guy. Bill Eigel, when you're on the Senate floor and everybody's looking at you, it's a tough situation. I bet, hollering at Casey in a screaming match with Casey Wasser is not a good look for him. Probably makes Casey Wasser like, I doubt Casey Wasser has bought a beer since this incident in the Capitol city anywhere. Casey's known as a real good guy. Just got out of the hospital. Had his lungs stapled to his ribs. Like, I'm sure Bill didn't know that. And so they spoke, as I understand it, and tried to smooth some things over. But the one I think Bill will feel bad about is that one. So it's been a week, man. But I'll tell you, Bill Eigel, whatever he does, it gets attention. That's just it's a blessing, and for a politician, it's a blessing, but it can also be a curse. But he gets all the he gets the attention no matter what. Uh, so it is what it is, and um, I do think I will say this: the way these things work in like in the moment. So let's say Casey Wasser was at a 7 of 10 on the influence level in Jeff City, hypothetically. Um, he looks like a baller badass right now, and the senator it looks a little like punching down, and it just doesn't set well. But for Casey Wasser, huge career boom for him. That's it looks like a big deal, and I think he'll the way this will probably flesh out is Casey Wasser's stock will rise, and I think Senator Eigel will wish he had that day back. But it is what it is, and here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of similarities between lobbyists and lawyers. Um, if you're in a small town, there's like 3 judges, right? So Kelton, if you go in front of a judge and you think you should win the case, but you don't, the judge rules against you, you might be pissed, but what do you say?
Oh, thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, because tomorrow you're coming right back to that same judge with a whole different set of stuff. So, I mean, they have to learn to be professionals. These are not shrinking violets. In this case, certainly is one. But I'll tell you this: nobody's stock shot up higher yesterday on the Nasdaq, the Dow, or the state capitol than Casey's. That $4 bill, I'm telling you, you've got to be careful. You'll take look. I get it. You need to do right wing stuff. I understand, but in reality, you got to just be careful, or people will be out of work. And to me, that old boy that doesn't really follow politics that closely, doesn't follow state politics at all, he's just trying to make a living for his family. He's thinking about, can he take the kids to Florida this year, or do they just go to Six Flags for the summer? The guy that when gas prices are high, he kind of runs down that extra eighth of a tank to see if they'll go back down again. That old boy, don't put him out of work. Don't endanger his job for some Facebook post, right? And I very much look. The pressure these guys are under is real. The demand for this bill is real. I understand that it's a very legitimate issue to take on, but I mean, don't endanger that guy's job. You could probably do what you're trying to do without endangering that guy's job. And I do think that probably, if I had to guess, Senator Bratton probably had a reason to be ticked. If I had to guess, that meeting was to tell him, okay, there's some issues, right? And you know, this is it starts getting warm, in that building too. These are human beings. They have the same. There are a lot of Type A human beings who have the same energy. You understand these are people too, right? It is not. It's not. These are just folks too. Speaking of people working, the chamber got in the weeds on a child care bill. I love Jay Nixon, who I think very highly of. He told me one time when the state or the Democrats or the honor work, when you help people that are working, that's popular and it goes well. If that's just my take on it. The love the soy guys. And what you're doing, there's a thing about childcare. It's very hard. Look, if you can't get childcare, you can't work. That's what this 4 day school week thing is tricky because, I mean, I had a grandma that could take care of me, but not everybody has a grandma on Friday, right? It's tough. And so the chamber came in with a real good common sense thing. That care up is doing a very good job at the chamber. She's respected. She's a hustler. She does very, very well. Does a good job for them. That child care bill got done. It's a big thing. Mike Kehoe, $150,000 fundraiser down in southern Missouri. That is a lot of money in southern Missouri. Mike Kehoe is going to have the money for the campaign. It's kind of funny. I think maybe Mike Kehoe has the money for the campaign and to win, and Bill Eigel has the message of the campaign. It's really interesting dynamics of those two campaigns. Jay Ashcroft hasn't started his campaign yet, but he's obviously the front runner. But Eigel has been. I mean, Eigel's ran a hell of a campaign against him. I mean, he's been that Eric, some kind of Eric voting crap. Somebody told me about it a long time ago. Ashcroft got out of it, and I believe that a lot of that had to do with Eigel's attacks. I mean, Eigel's bringing heat, which I think you have to do to a guy that's Jay Ashcroft for whatever reason you want to attribute to. He has the name ID, and that's a big deal. And he starts off with a big lead, and is what it is. But he does very, very well on the attack, and he's been on Jay, and has been working. There is a path. Jay Ashcroft does not have this locked down by any measure, but he is the front runner, to be fair. But the only way to take a front runner and make him not the front runner is attack him, right? And I don't think Jay Ashcroft's going to make a lot of mistakes himself. But I think Bill Eigel is doing a very good job of being real aggressive thus far. And take it for how you will on the success. I think it's actually been a pretty successful campaign of attacks. Now, it also helps that Ashcroft's not responding with attacks or even responding much at all. So when you get those, you almost get free shots in. So interesting. Going to be such an interesting governor's race. We'll see if he stays in. I thought I was here telling you I thought Bill Eigel was going to stay. Then on my show, he kind of first time I see him kind of be a little hedge his bet on it a little bit. So we'll see what happens. The Senate going to do gambling. I mean, it's a tough spot, man. Denny Haas is a tough spot. He's got to build. We've all got here in life. You can imagine life. You get into something that you probably don't, you care about, but maybe you don't care as much, but you get worked into a bad spot where you got to throw down on something. And do you want to really? Maybe not. Well, they're trying to do sports book today. It's going to be tough. I don't know how Senator Hoskins lets it go. I just don't know how he lets it go. So I doubt that's solved today, but you never know. I mean, you also have the casinos that want a chunk, and a lot of hands want to get in that pie. On the show, we have Lincoln Huff on the show Sunday. I don't think he knows that yet, but the Mike Carter show. I think it's Journalism and Justice. Great show. I got to do it this week. Beth Riggert, who we get all the great emails from. I got to meet her in person. Go check that out. It's a cool show. I'm going to link to it on my Facebook and stuff. It's a really cool show. Also, announcement to make. Courtyard by Marriott. Now, last night, obviously, I couldn't buy my own beer because people were thanking me for leading the campaign to promote Ron and Liberate High Street. But Monday night, guess what I got, Kelton?
A Bud Light.
Number 12 that's been bought for me. I'll go back to, here's the deal. You want to come to Jeff City, right? It's a town where influence matters, status matters. where you stay matters. You can stay at somewhere that sucks and you'll be treated best someone that sucks. Or you could stay at the Courtyard by Marriott, the newest hotel, the best hotel, the top end hotel in this city. If you want to meet, if you want to do the thing where you do the bump into, right? You want to bump into influential people, lobby of the Courtyard. You want to have a beer somewhere and just happen to see someone that you recognize from the news, Courtyard by Marriott. So you look on your website, right? Of how you're gonna book your rooms. If it's a $20 or less difference in the Courtyard and somewhere else, go to the Courtyard. Take my advice. Take the advice from your old hillbilly pal. If it is not worth $20, you come to me and I will give you this $20 to make you whole. However, if it's great and it's well worth the extra 20, you buy me a Bud Light, and this, Kelton, is the bottle from El Dazino, the 12th one I've had right there. I'm going to save it and stick it back right here. Wish I had a Courtyard by Marriott flag. I'll just put it right there by my picture of me and Mark Richardson and my Stein that from Silver Dollar City. Also, could not let this day go by without talking about Richard Fordyce. This is an owl, Stein of Knowledge. Now, Kelton, look at this glorious, glorious guy. The top, I'm telling you, the best Steins have a lid. It's got the wonderful A insignia there. And if you're talking about a Stein of Knowledge, what's more wise than a hoot owl? Richard and Renee Fordyce. I think Tony Benz might have had a hand in this too. Thank you guys so much. This is one of my absolute favorites. I can't. It's like so cool. I don't know if I want to put it here on the shelf or if I want to put it in the bar on the shelf. I don't know. I also want to drink out of it. That's good. Oh, okay, fine. I've had like 8 people message me. The Bud Light can. So if you haven't seen, there's a I don't know what to say. I always feel like I'm getting in trouble. There's a trans person that has long hair and makeup. So you whatever pronoun or whatever you want to say. So they put this individual. God, we live in such a stupid time. Everything you say somebody's getting feelings. The world should be more German, Kelton. It should. His feelings are bullshit. But this person's on the Bud Light can. Personally, I don't care. You know me. I like Trump, but I watched Alec Baldwin movies. They're great. I don't really like Chick-fil-A that much, but not because they're homophobic, because it's kind of salty. You know, if I like Chick-fil-A, I wouldn't care if they're homophobic. I go buy the chicken. Here's the thing. I think Anheuser-Busch falls into the trap of they have the best-selling beer in the world. They want to get 1 more percent. They think maybe a trans person, individual, whatever the hell you're supposed to say, would like it if they saw that. And I get that. I don't change beers. Hopefully everyone's right. No one will buy Bud Light, so it'll go on sale, and I'll have me like a truckload of transsexual Bud Light, and I'll drink it all. So I get it. It is funny. It's bizarre. It's reaching for that 0.5% of market share and putting at risk all of yours or a chunk of yours. Like most things, if Bud Light tastes good, most people drink it. If it doesn't, you could put whatever you want on the can. Nobody will drink it. Do I think that there'll be a rush of transsexual individuals drinking Bud Light? No. Do I think there'll be some folks that won't drink Bud Light now? Yeah, probably. But I think they'll all come home. And here's the thing: at some point, you're going to take the transsexual individual off the can. So if maybe they'll try and like it, but we'll see. It'll be interesting. I'm not changing. I'm not changing my beer preferences. Although I'm not offended by a transsexual individual in the can. I think it's probably just not smart, right? I don't get offended that easily, though. Other people get offended. I'm not from the suburbs. I don't spend my entire freaking life whining and crying about stuff. So I'm not offended. It's just I think it's dumb. I just think there are people that are going to be put off by that, and I think as far as beer drinkers, more going to be put off than they're going to try your product. But Gussie's gone, and it ain't the same, right? It is. There's a little bit different culture, but I'm going to drink my Bud Light with or without a transsexual individual on it, or if they put John Wayne on it. I'm probably going to drink pretty much the same, but I do get to drink more because I hook you up with the Courtyard by Marriott. And if you want to get me, if you want your Bud Light that you buy for me to pay me back for my wonderful advice to have transsexuals on it, guess what I'm going to do? Drink that thing. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Looking enough, probably on the show Sunday. Probably should get that ironed out, right, Kelton? About the time. Oh, Kathy Lojoy from Joplin. She's going to be on. She's running for state rep. She's going to be on the show. Be fun. I find her to be like this very positive person. I kind of like her. She's like, she's like a happy warrior type, right? She reminds me a little bit of Camellia. She just kind of, you know, whatever she's talking about, she just seems like it's like she's happy. She's kind of like an upbeat person. I think she'll do very well in the House. She's running for the legislature out of Southwest Missouri, around I think maybe Carthage actually. I don't think I think it's Carthage, which it's like Independence in Kansas City. If you're from Carthage, you're not from Joplin, and they'll tell you. So anyhow, I am from West Butler County, and I will tell you, and I will see you Sunday on This Week in Missouri Politics.